Virtual reality is bringing us closer to Ready Player One's Oasis, Star Trek's holodeck, and just about every fake paradise we can imagine. But our love of alternate realities, and the ability to do whatever we want in them, has been a storytelling standard for thousands of years. And that's thanks to actual history. It all goes back to something called lucid dreaming. Most of the time, people simply wake themselves up. Unless Freddy Krueger's involved, in which case, you can't. But if you stay asleep, you can do anything. You can fly, you can have an orgy, you can even learn Kung Fu.
I know Kung Fu.
The first known summary of lucid-like dream control was in the Sanskrit text Mandukya Upanishad back around 500 BC. Or maybe it was 100 CE, it's a little vague. But it wasn't until the year 415 that St. Augustine gave us the first known report of what was later called lucid dreaming. In a letter, he shared the story of a friend who dreamed he was hanging out with a guy in heaven. And over, the guy reminded him, hey, don't forget, you are actually asleep, alright? Although Augustine also thought incubi or Lilin demons were real and impregnated women in their sleep, so yeah. Philosophers like Ibn Arabi and Descartes spent centuries trying to convince the world that lucid dreams were not only real, but super cool. If only they could have just shown them all Inception, that probably would have worked too. But the father of modern lucid dreaming as a science is probably Marquis d'Hervey de Saint-Denis, who coined the term rêve lucide, or lucid dreaming, in 1867. Just in time for virtual reality to come into the picture. But you might be thinking, like, how the hell did we have virtual reality before basically every device needed to make it work? Well, back in 1838, we got a little thing called the stereoscope. Sir Charles Wheatstone found if you put two slightly different pictures next to each other, the brain could turn them into a 3D image. This brought about a global obsession with so-called virtual tourism. For the first time, people could actually see and experience places they'd only dreamed about. They also used it to make up stories and entire worlds about what they were looking at. Since this was Victorian times, of course that meant beware the promiscuity, but there weren't many real examples of naughty stereoscopes corrupting the children, so they were made up. For example, in the 1864 short story In a Stereoscope, a guy dreams he has a fling with a Spanish girl after looking at some stereoscopic pictures. You're not likely to find those slides in a viewfinder, unfortunately. Just as fantasy writers envisioned the sexy wonders of stereoscoping, science fiction was predicting something even bigger: actual virtual reality. In 1935, writer Stanley Weinbaum released Pygmalion Spectacles, a story about a pair of goggles that could let a person feel like they were in a fictional world. This is considered the first comprehensive model for VR. For the next several decades, we got things like the Sensorama, the headset, and of course, the Power Glove.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
Finally, in 1987, Jaron Lanier coined the term virtual reality. And just like the Lawnmower Man, its power has only continued to grow. But it's not just the wires, lenses, and gloves that make VR possible. It's also a fascination with creating realities where our bodies and minds can't hold us back. It's no surprise VR actually helps people lucid dream better, at least according to research from Jane Gockenbach. Whether our eyes are closed or behind a screen, in the end we're all looking for the same thing: a brave new world where we can do anything we want.